The football, excuse me, football team closes the regular season on Saturday by hosting Minnesota at Camp Randall. The game will kick off at 2:30 p.m., be televised by BTN. Head coach Paul Chryst is here. We'll have some opening comments, then take questions.
Well, excited for this week, and I know our players are, and it's always special to play in this game. I've been lucky to go to the Minnesota-Wisconsin game with my dad, just me and him in the stands, and then when he was coaching, and got to be a part of it as a player, and then as a coach here, and it's a lot of respect, and I think for Minnesota and the way they're playing, I think they're playing really good football right now, and our kids are excited for the opportunity to play them, and for our seniors last game at Camp Randall, it's an exciting week, and looking forward to a really good week of preparation with our kids. Looking forward to 1:30. We get this thing going with them.
Paul, you mentioned about how Minnesota's playing, specifically about their defense. I think they got 7 sacks against Northwestern. Didn't look like they blitzed a lot. How good is that front at beating up offensive linemen and getting into the backfield?
I think they're playing really well up front, and they do enough, with backers and enough schematically to give you some, to challenge you. But I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. I think it's a good scheme, and I think they're playing at a high level right now.
Jason.
Paul, have you ever been part of a program that was going through a losing streak and a rivalry, and if so, how difficult is that on the players that aren't able to experience that win?
No, I mean I haven't.
Jeff.
Paul, you mentioned that you being in this rivalry as a player. Does anything stands out from way back then about this rivalry, that good or bad for you as a player?
Yeah, I mean there was some. My senior year, we won the Axe, and I remember we had a really talented football team my freshman year, and that was Ricky Foggy's freshman year, and they beat us in that one. But it's I've erased most of the memories from my playing career.
Jesse.
Paul, how have you seen Andrew Endicott respond here these last few weeks from what maybe was a difficult stretch for him?
No, I think he's done a nice job of focusing on the things that he can control, and I think he's been good, and we've got to have another good week for him. He's no different than any of our players, and a lot of players go through and things happen that aren't how they want it to happen, and you take it and what can I learn from it, and then work on going forward. And I think he's done that, and that's been fun to see, and we got to do it again.
Paul, your fifth-year seniors went through 2 coaching changes here. Wondering what has stood out about that group to you, either from a leadership perspective or otherwise in your time here?
Fortunately for me, you see them as individuals. I haven't taken time yet to think about the group, but there's some of them that I knew when they were young, and we were starting to recruit them, and there's others that I first met them my first day here, and I know it's. I went through that as a player. I know it's hard when you go through coaching changes, and yet I think there's times in life it's hard, and I've appreciated the way that they've worked through it. And one thing that you can also see is how that group comes together, and you come together in good times and in times that test you, and I think they'll have that bond for life, and that's but I've really enjoyed getting to know the individuals, and it's there's some really special guys that make up that group.
Jason.
Paul, when you were first recruiting Ryan Ramczyk when he was coming out of high school, did you see the kind of potential in him that he's shown this year?
I don't think you ever really know when you're recruiting. We thought a lot of him. We didn't do a great job of recruiting him because he didn't come to our place, but we thought that he had a chance to be a really good football player, and you know what? It's because of what he's done and the work he's put in, and he's now, I think, having a really good year and is a heck of a football player.
What is it about his game that has some people projecting him as a first-round pick in the NFL now?
I don't know about all that, but I do know that he's got size, and he's athletic, and he's got toughness, and he's got a work ethic. Really good football player.
Jesse.
Corey's had 500-yard rushing games in the last 6. From your perspective, what has changed with him since the bye week? Is there something different you think he's been doing?
I think that Corey's trying to get better each week and learning from the things either that he does well and building on it, or things that, you know, that he wasn't doing. And I think that there's nothing magical to it. I think that, you know, there's guys around him too that are getting better, and so I think it's a culmination of a lot of things that, you know, they're not. I don't think he's had the one aha moment that all of a sudden something happened. I think it's just been more methodical, but it's been work. You know, I mean, he's put work in, time, and others around him have done the same.
Brian?
What are the emotions of senior day like for you on that final day?
Well, I think it's interesting as I think about it, and did take a little bit of time when we were coming back from Purdue, that it's their last home game in Camp Randall. And I think it's really special for the families, you know, and their loved ones that have been supporting them throughout this journey. But it's not, I'm going to see them probably that next day. And then we get a chance to play another game. And so you want them to be appreciative of what it marks. And yet you can't put a whole day or a whole 5 years, 4 years into one day. And but I think you want to be thankful for what they've done. That's what I am. I appreciate what they've done, and you want them to enjoy that day. And the best way to enjoy it is playing really well.
Jason.
How much do you think both Vince and Corey are enjoying themselves this season after coming back for their senior year?
I think they're having fun. I think this group is a fun group to be around, and they're part of it. You know, they're a big part of that. And so I think that this team, day in and day out, they're fun to be around, and there's energy with it. And I think that's what we all want to be a part of, is a team that cares about each other and works hard, but has fun doing it.
Andy, in the back.
Paul, I know you talked about your memories of your playing career being almost erased, but if you could just go back, and was the Axe this big a deal back then to you? Do you remember talking about it and having presentations about it and all that type of stuff with it?
It was a big deal. We didn't have presentations about it. But yeah, it was and I don't know if it was big to me because, you know, when my dad was here and he would recruit Minnesota. I mean, the Minnesota game was a big game. But yeah, it meant a lot. If you ask any of the guys that I played with, you know, that was the only one that we were playing for at the time. I think it's always been big, and it's presented now a little bit differently in-house. You know, we talk about it different than what we did, or I remember doing it as players. But yeah, it was a big deal. All right, thanks.
Anything else?
One quick question, sorry. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?